Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then, and it's East Midlands Derby week, innit? Leicester take on Forest in the Friday night East Midlands Derby at the King Power Stadium. It's been 2 years, a year since we played them. Obviously, played them at City Ground. It's 2 years since we played them at the King Power Stadium, and I think I rattled someone back 2 years ago, and I think he's still rattled to this day. But we're going to chat to him, Door on tour. We're going to chat to Dave. We're going to chat to Josh. Josh is going to be teaming up with me for this one to take on these two. I think I need it. But yeah, guys, get in the comments. Let me know your score predictions now ahead of this game. We might do a combined 11 as well. So we'll see who gets in the teams. Hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're a Forest fan, welcome. It might not be a warm welcome, but welcome. But no, banter aside, should be a good game at the King Power tomorrow night. The Steve Cooper derby is what it is, and Steve Cooper takes on his former side. Can Steve Cooper get one over on his former side? But hi, Ty. Hello, mate. How are you? I think a few minutes returns, but I can't buy them. Can you help me out? I caught, mate. Sorry. It's Door late. Door is here. Hello, Kizza. How are you, mate? Hope you're good. All the best with a podcast, pal, if you're doing a podcast. Rossi LCFC 1993. Can't wait for this one. Door, the Explorer, is what Ross is calling Door. We'll ask him about that one. Evening from Canada. Pleat out. Yeah, I don't remember David Pleat, but I'm sure you do. Oddball, but a bit away before my time, my friend. Hi, Jack. It's the Cooper Derby. Come on, the boys. Jack, you did great on the other chat. Yeah, I was holding my own in it. You know, you give as good as you get. And that's football, it's banter. And that's all it is, strictly banter. Evening, Jack. Evening, True Red. Evening, all. Regards from the northeast. Evening, trial and error. Hope you're good, my friend. Let's get my tag team partner in tonight then. It's from the blue side of the corner. It's Sportser. Sportser, how are you, mate?
I'm on the red side here, but no, I'm good, Jack. I'm good. I'm ready for this, ready for tomorrow as well. Hopefully you're doing all right yourself, mate.
I can't really spot with you, mate, because if I spot you, it means I'll be on the red side and them two be clapping their hands in the background.
Bring the others in quick.
Yeah, let's get them in quick. We'll get Dave in first. Dave, how are you?
Yeah, good, lads. Good to see you. Looking forward to what will be a very fascinating match tomorrow night, I think.
Yep. Door, we're going to swap you over with Josh, of course.
That's
you've got a little soft spot for Leicester. Door, how are you, mate?
I'm great. Yep. But Jack, don't bother trying to do that ever. Don't try and rattle me ever again. Don't ever.
Door, mate, it was 2 years ago, and you
I don't care. I'm
still rattled, my friend.
It's to me, right? You made me.
Did it hurt that bad?
Pardon?
Did that beating hurt that bad at the King Power last night?
It hurt me and Dave that day. Really did.
Did it?
It was a good thing. I tell you what, it was a good thing because it taught us a lesson that I think eventually kept us up. So I think that it was a proper hammering. I mean, really, Leicester should have won 30 or 40 that night. They were that good, and we were that awful. But I think in the fullness of time, it taught Mr. Cooper a lesson. It taught Forest a lesson. And I think we managed to stay up as a result of it. Watershed moment for me.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep, Dallas Foxes, this will be Cooper's revenge match. Evening, man, how are you? Evening to the KFC dad. What's with the Yankees cap, lads?
I need to go get me Dodgers cap. I need to get me Dodgers cap. Hang on. Well, I would if I had one.
Bloody hell, I thought it was
Keir Starker, I've got my clothes on, mate. Don't you worry. Keir Starker. It's this bit.
Look alike.
Kyle, it's this bit in my hair, mate. I put a bit of gel on it, Kyle, just for you, mate.
Right then, boys. East Midlands Derby. I know, Dor, you claim that you never care
No.
about Leicester, but you sing about us. And we have now, so looking at 2 years ago, Steve Cooper was in the away dugout at the King Power Stadium in a 4-0 defeat. Could have ended up getting a sack for Rafa Benitez that night. He stayed his course, obviously lost his job last season. 2 years on, Leicester's manager, home dugout. What would you have thought that, Door? 2 years on from the last time you got the beating at the King Power Stadium?
Not really. That day was I was yeah, it was 4-0. But I remember the fans, as Dave will know, were amazing. Kept singing Steve Cooper's Red Army, blah blah blah. 3 days later, he gets a new contract and that. And let's keep it real. We did after that game. I think we drawn with Brighton, we beat Liverpool, and we went on that mini run. He kept us up, and that is a successful season after bringing all these players in. And then yes, he didn't have a great season about that, but in hindsight, like legend, and I don't know if people in the panel or even Dave or people agree on this. Legend gets thrown around way too easy these days, way too easy. And in this era, would you class Steve Cooper as a legend at Nottingham Forest? Yes. I don't care what everyone says about this. I hate the word low block. It's basically
he's your third best manager, isn't he?
Yes.
With Bluffy,
in this era, like they will say, Sir Brian Clough is God. He's God to us. Frank Clark, to me, is always going to be a god to me because he did well in the 90s. But Steve Cooper will always be third. But we've got to move on.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is Leicester manager. I want to beat Leicester City. I'm not a rival, Jab, before you keep saying this. I don't hate Leicester. They're not in my top 5. All these Leicester fans hang on about it all week.
I'd like to know your top 5.
Yeah.
You want to know my top 5? The top 5 is Liverpool, Derby, Walsall, Sheffield United, and Stoke City. I hate them 5. Leicester, I'm not even near. Nowhere near. All here, I think I do know the other guy's name. Oh, you always talk about Leicester. I talk about Leicester because they talk about me. So, on the day, tomorrow, it's business. I want to win. I want to win. If Cooper gets sacked through Leicester, it happens. But at the end of the day, he's a legend. People want to be if people want to say Cooper this, Cooper that. If Forest fans want to say Cooper this, Cooper that, and be disrespectful towards him, that's how they want to talk.
Everyone's opinion.
In my eyes, I want to. Me and Dave are going there tomorrow. We want to get the 3 points. Enough said. And I want to see you. I want to see you and Josh having tears on your stream. End of.
Not happening. 4-0 again.
You want to sit that quite slowly, then?
I'm on my rant now. Dave,
it looks to me,
you, mate. I mean, what's your thoughts on Steve Cooper? I mean, took the Leicester job. Leicester say the fan base has been really mixed on Steve Cooper as Leicester manager, but he took the job. He's now, I'd say he's had a steady start at Leicester. I think Josh would agree he's kind of starting to know his best 11. I know he's been a bit of search and not really knowing what kind of team to put out at times and the right players and that, but I think you kind of got that at Forest as well, didn't you, Dave, with Cooper, that he tried different things and some things would work and some things thinging. What's your thoughts on Steve Cooper and obviously taking the Leicester job as well?
Well, you have to talk about Steve Cooper past and Steve Cooper present, Jack. Steve Cooper past at Nottingham Forest. Now, you know, I'm 60. I'm lucky enough. I grew up in the Clough era, and I remember that great team that we had at the end of the 70s. The Choir Boys, who were a really good side in the 80s, and then Frank Clark's team, right? We had 23 years of wilderness, of doing nothing and going nowhere in the Championship. At the point Steve Cooper arrived, we'd played 8 games in the Championship. We'd lost 7 of them, and we got 1 point from Derby. We were a listing ship. We were sinking. We went to Huddersfield. Stephen Reid was in charge with Warren Joyce. We got a 2-0 win there. Steve came in the following week, a 1-1 draw against Millwall, and then a week where we beat Barnsley away and Birmingham City at St Andrews, and we took off. And what he did in that season to get us from absolute nowhere to be going up to the playoff, and he gave us one of the greatest days of our lives that we will never ever forget. I will never stop thanking him for that. I'll be grateful to Steve. If I meet Steve Cooper, he gets a big hug from me because I've got that much time for the guy and I've got that much gratitude for him. Then he kept us up, which a lot of people didn't think he would do. The game at Leicester was painful at the time, right? Now that night, but it was the right result. Leicester City were not only 4-0 better than Nottingham Forest, they were about 14-0 better than Nottingham Forest that night. I have no complaints about it. I took it on the chin. What happened that night was the away support sang their hearts out for Steve Cooper. We did a rare thing. We bent Marinakis' will to ours, and he kept him on. That defeat at the King Power taught Steve Cooper he couldn't play as open as he wanted to and as he had done in the Championship. And okay, he brought in the low block, and people moan about the low block. But without that low block, lads, me and Dor wouldn't be talking to you two on this channel 24 hours ahead of a Premier League game. We would have been gone. Vincent Kompany wouldn't change, got relegated. Russell Martin doesn't seem to want to change, will probably get relegated, right? Steve decided at the time, we've got to play in a way that I don't really want to. He kept us up. He then ran out of road. Coming to Steve Cooper present, yours is the last job I thought he'd take. But hey-ho, as Clough said, always expect the unexpected in football. Steve took the job, and whatever he does, he has my best wishes because the guy's a good human being and a decent man, right? Now, at first, he looked a little bit lost to me in the dugout at Leicester. What he did with Forest, Dor will tell you this, what he did with Forest, he clearly did his research before he got the job.
Yeah.
He basically came in and sold the idea that he'd been researching Nottingham as a city and Nottingham Forest as a football club. With Leicester, it seemed that he just arrived and he was just dropped out of space into the King Power. And for a while, I kind of thought, Steve, this just doesn't look right. But you know what? You've just come off 2 victories, 2 good wins. You've beaten a good side at home. You've beaten a poor side away, but come from an unbelievably poor point in the game to pull off a fantastic win, right? Steve Cooper has to take. I mean, I heard somebody say that was nothing to do with Steve Cooper. Not true. Steve, if those lads didn't want to play for Steve Cooper, Leicester probably wouldn't have won that match. But they rolled their socks up, rolled the sleeves up, and he got it done. He won that game by putting Abdul Fatawu on. Yeah, that changed the game, right? So Steve Cooper, I think, is, like you say, Jack, it's been a bit of a mixed start for him.
It does.
But eventually a guy like Steve Cooper, he looks to me like he's getting his feet under the table. I watched his press conference and I found it utterly fascinating because when he was, journalists are always going to do it. Chuck him a Nottingham Forest question. Chuck him another Nottingham Forest question. Chuck him another one. And he batted them all away. And out of respect for both clubs, both Leicester City and Nottingham Forest, Steve Cooper said, my focus of concentration is only Leicester City.
Yeah.
I can't concentrate about Nottingham Forest. And similarly, as Dor's alluded to, for me, I love the guy and will always love him for what he did. And he will be a Forest icon until my last breath, as far as I'm concerned. And I will never, ever denigrate him in any way. But tomorrow night, business is business. I'm a Nottingham Forest supporter. I want my lovely lads who I care about a lot to win the match and go on and get even better. So tomorrow night, much as I love the guy, and I do, I want him beat. It's funny, I watched a game in the Bundesliga last week where a guy played against his best man, right? I don't know if it was Wolfsburg and Bremen. And while the game was going on, they were at each other like cat and dog. As soon as the game was finished, they were mates. And that's kind of like me and Steve. For that 90 minutes, I want to get him beat. But as soon as the game's over, he'll go back to that exalted position he's got. So fascinating. To me, the fascinating thing tomorrow night is how the away end reacts to him when he comes out on the field. I'm fascinated to see what goes. But he's a good man. And take tomorrow out of it. The rest of what he does, I want him to do well. Absolutely.
I know what it is. And like David said, mentioned about, I'm looking to know Steve Cooper. I've met his family. I've met Steve Cooper's son. I've met Steve Cooper's son as well. at Luton away was amazing. But like I said, football is football. Football
It
is
is.
business. We're doing
Strictly
well.
business.
I want to beat
Yeah.
you lot. I want revenge, so I can just absolutely destroy you, destroy Josh, and all you Leicester creators out there who absolutely destroyed me when we lost 4-0 to you lot. That rattled me. But I'm a content creator. I took it as a man, and it is what it is. But it is what it is.
Can I just say, I'm not a content creator and never will be, right? But if we win tomorrow night, Jack, Josh, you'll hear nothing from me. I'll just disappear.
No. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get a Dave mask. I'm going to put a Dave mask and talk like how that Dave
That's true.
That's a fair point. I mean, Cooper's first season at Leicester beat Southampton away. First season at Forest in the Premier League beat Southampton away. I think that was his only away win that season.
It was, yeah. Brendan Johnson? Taiwo won it 1-0, yeah. Me and Doug came out of St Mary's that night, arm in arm, like we were like, Morecambe and Wise running up and down the road. You know what I mean? Bring me sunshine. You know what I mean?
But no, I think looking at it, Josh, he did get the job, didn't he, up against Corberan and Graham Potter. Obviously, me and you spoke, didn't we, Josh, in the summer about the Cooper appointment. We was on board with Graham Potter and Corberan. With the types of manager we wanted, but I guess you don't always get what you want in life, do you, Josh? You just got to grin and bear it. And I think with Steve, talking to him on a personal level at times when I have met him, he's a nice, genuine bloke. And he's a guy who wants to do well, Josh. I think that's what we get from him. He speaks about every press conference about winning the fans over and that and doing well at this football club. I mean, Nottingham Forest was a job for him. He's not a fan. It's just a normal job like everybody else does in the world. And talk to me about what your initial thoughts are on this game and how does Steve Cooper approach this one?
No, I think it's a massive game for Cooper. Obviously, some of our fan base still associated with Forest, although he's not a Forest fan, I believe. Because he's a Wrexham fan, I think he is. But I think in terms of winning the fan base over, this Forest game, if he wins, could be absolutely massive. And obviously, that would give us 9 points from 9. Yeah, I think we'll be 1 point behind Forest as well into the top 10, which would be an unbelievable start, especially with Ipswich next week as well. So, no, look, I think it's a massive game for both sides. In terms of Cooper, so far for Leicester, I won't lie, I didn't really want him. I would have preferred someone like Corberan or Potter, etc., etc. But look, we've got him in the job. He's, started off a bit shaky. We obviously got the point against Tottenham, but look, the last 2 games have been quite good. Just like the lads have said, we beat Bournemouth 1-0. Southampton showed a lot of character, which is what you need to stay up in this league as well. So, yeah, overall, obviously I'm still going to back him while he's in charge. And if we can continue this run of form as we're on right now, there's no reason why we can't stay up. And look, if Leicester can stay up just like Forest did that year, I'll take it right now. I'll snap my hand off for it, and that's what we need this year. So, yeah, hopefully it can continue. But I think tomorrow is absolutely massive for him and the club.
Can I ask you a question to Josh and Jack? Like, if Forest do win, I want Forest to win. Are you going to go back to that route saying, "Oh, Steve Cooper is not the man for the job"? That's the question I want to ask because you've done back-to-back wins against Bournemouth and Southampton, and I see Leicester fans. There's still quite a lot of Leicester fans saying, "Oh, he's not the man. He's not the blah blah blah." But if we lose, and if you stay 4th to bottom this season, has Cooper done his job?
So staying up, yeah. I think tomorrow depends a lot on the performance and who starts because obviously we all saw what Fatawu did on Saturday coming on. If he doesn't start tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of questions asked, I think, because it does seem quite blatantly obvious that he needs to start. But yeah, look, obviously Forest, I'll admit it, probably have a better squad than Leicester right now. So if we lose and compete,
say that again.
I lagged out. Sorry, Dor. I should have said that one, should I?
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, no worries, pal. Good win. I think if Leicester put a good performance in and compete and play the way we want to play and play the right players, I wouldn't have too many complaints if we lose tomorrow. But obviously, it is, it's a derby, so anything can really happen, can't it?
Yeah, I think this is a big game for both sides. Both sides want them 3 points. I I mean, it's a big game for Steve, innit? I want to really win the fans over, which he has spoke about. It's a derby game, even though Dor doesn't seem to think so. It's, you know, you're our East Midlands neighbours, so, you know, we have to talk about you in that fashion.
Let's keep it real, like.
We're both in the East Midlands, Dor, it counts, no matter what you think about it.
Right, I don't know if Josh agrees, right? It's like me arguing with a Derby fan, a Leicester fans across the road wants to join in the argument, and we Derby fans, we say, like, what do you want? It's like,
best friends.
It's just like, yeah, what do you want? Can you just carry on walking, go to Coventry, argue with a Coventry fan? It's like that.
Yeah.
That's what you see it as a rival. I just see it as, because
I think it also depends where you're from in Leicester. Obviously, some are more into the Loughborough sort of style.
I'm from Loughborough,
we don't know.
Follow Forest and then
Sutton Bonington.
Closer to like Coventry, sort of that side of Leicester. Some are Coventry.
I think they remember. It was in the 70s or late 70s or 80s. Forest did hate Leicester. We did have a rivalry, didn't we? In that time.
Not I'm aware of, mate. To be honest with me. I don't want to argue with anybody. I don't want to argue with Derby fans. I don't want to argue with Leicester fans. I just want to enjoy football and appreciate every team.
There we go.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. When the 5,000 to 1ers did their miracle in 2016, that night that that night that Chelsea and Tottenham drew at Stamford Bridge, when they were trying to basically slit each other's throats, and that result finished, I was leaping around the room, because to me that was a great football story. People were saying, "Oh, you're Forest, you can't like Leicester." Oh, don't be so childish. That's just this tribal nonsense. Get rid of it, right? What they did that season, when it started off, stayed at the top, I could not have been happier. For me, it was getting the Big Six being stopped by Leicester City, right? We kind of, you know, that was Leicester City was a miracle. Our miracle was in the 70s when we won the league at the first time of asking and won 2 European Cups. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, Leicester's never been a rival in the way that Derby has. I think the Derby rivalry is more about one man, the great one. It's about him. Cloughie. It's about him, if you like. You know what I mean? But yeah, tomorrow night, like Josh says, it's huge for Steve Cooper. If he delivers your lot what you lot want tomorrow night, and he does it with a bit of style, that's him nailed on. And there are parallels, right? Because we had this issue with Nuno last year, right? Right, where a lot of us were so in love with Cooper. When he came in, it was like, oh, come on then, Nuno, impress us. And eventually we warmed to him, and I think he warmed to us. And now it's a full-on relationship. Steve might have to go through that, you know. And if it doesn't fully work out for Steve Cooper at Leicester, there's a sense that what he's doing, and he's done it at Forest, is he might almost be setting it up for somebody who's maybe slightly better manager to come in and take it over. That might be Potter. That might be Corberan. Steve Cooper is a good steward of a football club. Might not be the best manager, but he'll get you to a point where maybe Nuno said yesterday in his presser, I can't thank Steve enough for what he did. Steve did an amazing job here. And if you like, Steve built a little platform, and Nuno
is like the foundations for you,
I think it is, right? You know, it is, right? And I said this, Nuno's got to outdo Steve Cooper now. And right now, he's doing what he's doing. Gradually. He'll take his time. Like I said, you mentioned teams like Fulham. We've been on 12th man. We want to be like a Fulham and be like a mid-table team, because yes, we're 8th in the league, and me and Dave are happy as Forest fans are, but it's not. We are going to get defeats. And that's how it is. And so tomorrow, we want to get the 3 points. If we do, we go 5th place, and we're going to be happy. Dave's going to be happy, or Forest fans going to be happy.
But I'm assuming nothing. I assume nothing. Don't assume anything. Always expect the unexpected in football, because that's what you'll get. And just because you're 14th and we're 8th doesn't mean we're favourites. Exactly. Maybe for me, you're favourites because you're at home, and your last King Power game against us, you smite us off the face of the earth.
Exactly. Right. But like I said, Forest go there. We're good away record. Leicester, the one against Bournemouth, their confidence will be high. But I still feel we can get a result and go back home and happy smiling faces.
It's two teams in a good frame of mind. And
Yeah.
that's what, if you're a neutral, if I was a neutral tomorrow night, I'd be glued to it. You know what I mean? They talked about our game against Palace on Monday night. I remember some of the pundits saying, well, it's not the most attractive game in the world, is it? Forest against Palace and what have you. This one tomorrow night is the opposite because it's a local derby.
Yeah.
However significant it is for one team or the other, you know, they're both in a good sort of position at the moment, in a good moment. And it could go either way. You know, we're good away from home, which never used to be the case. You've picked up, to me, the manner of the win at Southampton. Take out the equation the fact that Southampton are a poor team and clearly the worst team of the 20. To be where Leicester were after 20-25
shows courage.
Where they were at the end. And I'll tell you something. I said this to Dawn when we were on 12th Man with Dan Potts earlier. I was watching Sky Sports that afternoon because we hadn't had a game, so I was watching Ascot for a bit and then Gillette Soccer Saturday. And they went to Mark McAdam at St Mary's, and Mark McAdam goes, there's a corner, Simon. Leicester have got a corner." And I thought, that's going in. And it went in. Right. And I think for Leicester, Steve Cooper will be saying, you lot were awful. You lot dug yourselves into a big hole and you lot had the guts, gumption and balls to get yourself out of it. Now take that into this game. And that, to me, makes Leicester City an incredibly dangerous opponent. On the other side of the ball, Steve will be thinking, that lot seem to have cracked a method for playing away from home that has worked at Southampton, of all places, bloody Anfield, the Amex, which is unbelievably difficult, and Stamford Bridge, where we play for 28 minutes to half an hour with 10 men, with Morgan Gibbs-White and James Ward-Prowse off the field against £1 billion worth of investment. So if you like, it's just a game that's beautifully set up on a knife edge for me.
Yeah, it's a game of who's going to be better on the night, isn't it? You know, it don't matter where you are in the league, anyone can beat anybody on the day.
Absolutely,
and,
mate. Totally agree, yeah.
Steve's obviously objective will be to get 3 points. He'd want to, it'd be a big win for him. I think that Southampton game, it went back to how we played last season in that second half, Josh. After 60 minutes, he thought, how do I get the best out of these players? And all of a sudden he thought, Winks, Fatawu, and it clicked and everything just fell into place. Then we looked like last season's team in the last half an hour, and then we come back and beat them miraculously. And I'm thinking, can we go and nick this game when it's 2-2? And we did. And Jordan Ayew scores with the last kick of the game. Leicester fans erupting that away end. And how do we build, Josh? Obviously, Steve Cooper was a massive win for him, wasn't it, against Bournemouth and against Southampton? How do you think his mindset goes into this game in playing against his former side?
I think it's positive because if Leicester went into this game not beating Southampton, not beating Bournemouth, it would be pressure, 6 points. Playing against his old side as well, it all would have accumulated into this massive game on Sky Sports, etc. So I think he's got a bit of credit in the bank now. Like, I don't think this is a 6-pointer now for Leicester, and it was not like a must-win. I'd say I would take a point. I don't know if you Forest fans will, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But I think it's fascinating in terms of what our team selection will be as well. Because obviously Saturday, Southampton did go down to 10 men, which I think did open up some space for Abdul to get down that right side a bit more. But does Abdul start? I think he should. Does Ayew start?
Do you think that's where we exploit Forest if we go wider? Obviously, he did that against Southampton with Mavididi, Fatawu. You kind of look at your Harry Winkses and your Ndidis, who are obviously going to be key in midfield because Forest have sort of built like a stronger mind in midfield. Looking at the Palace game, where the kind of you've got to try and break that wall down. Do you see that approach from Leicester? Obviously, Jamie Vardy's going to be key with that huge experience that he's got in the game. Forest fans will hope that he doesn't get a goal against them. And can see Dawes' face there. But, how do you think that's the way Steve Cooper goes about this game? Obviously, with Steve, we've seen two good first halves, haven't we, against Bournemouth and against Crystal Palace away?
Yeah.
But how do you see like the mindset with the first half and second half? Because I think there's always going to be cautious, aren't there, when it comes to Steve regarding the way he wants to kind of like let the handbrake off, which we've obviously spoke about this season. But talk to me about it.
I think Steve will find it difficult not to kind of go all guns blazing first half. I don't think he'd want to, but just in terms of the situation in that Southampton game, I think we will. In terms of the setup, I think the best way to attack Forest, albeit they've got a good defensive record this year, is clearly Mavididi and Fatawu, because really that
you like to praise Forest a lot, don't you? I'm loving it.
I'm being realistic, and then when we beat you tomorrow, I can go all in. But I think in terms of wingers,
just keep going. We will sit here, and you can keep praising Forest.
Yeah,
I'll put his taxes up.
But I think wingers, Abdul, Mavididi, we can get at the poor Forest fullbacks and get at them, and then we might be able to get some joy through that. But no, I think that's the best way we attack, because they're probably our two best players, and even if you double up on someone like Fatawu, like Southampton, it's difficult to stop someone who's just got pure pace and quick acceleration. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting in terms of how the game plays. I think it may be quite an open one, despite obviously Leicester have scored every game so far this season, and Forest is good defensive record. So it'll be interesting how that kind of plays out. But no, I think just as Dave said, it's on a good knife edge in terms of where the teams are at, and it's going to be fascinating.
Both going to the game on some good form, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think both teams are going to be confident they can go and get the win. But let's get on to Leicester Forest. It is down as the East Midlands Derby, or whatever you think of Wikipedia, but it is there. We are just going to call it the East Midlands Derby, even though you might not care about Leicester. Even though you created a song about Steve Cooper once upon a time where you added Leicester City into it.
Where is the receipts? Show me the receipts that I was singing about Leicester.
I don't know what you get up to at games, mate, but I'm gathering you
Dave,
enjoying it just like Dave does. But we're not going to throw Dave under the bus.
No.
I'm too old. I'm too old. My wheelchair and bring the bus down. What are you on about?
Dave was sat next to me for the last 3 seasons in the Premier League. Dave, that's
why I've gone grey.
Dave, have I sang about Leicester at all?
The only time we sang about Leicester was the afternoon that we were at Palace and we were safe, and you were there in your Hawaiian shirt, and that was the afternoon I think Leicester won but went down. And I have to confess, that afternoon, Josh, Jack, we as a family did mention you. Just gently in passing. To be fair, that afternoon at Palace was Samina, hey, waka, hey, 30 signings, who gives us stuff? Forest is staying up. Punctuated with Leeds are falling apart again. And then right at the end, there was some bloke in the far corner of that awful away end at Palace where you have to look through a letterbox to see the pitch, right? And there was a fella at the back went, "Hey lads, Leicester in the shit," and then it started. You know what I mean? Other than that, lads, Leicester don't get much of a mention, although they were added as a component of the Steve Cooper song, right?
Just a component.
Exactly.
Yeah, just a component. Just a little bit, and then it goes up to that much.
Like I said,
big game.
I don't sing back Leicester at all. So
of course you don't do it. You'll be singing going off air in this chat. But big game at the King Power Friday night football. I think last time we played you would have been a Monday night football. So always seems to be a night game.
And we were both. You were bottom and we were second bottom.
Yeah, that right.
At the time,
it were a relegation battle, wasn't it? Some would have called it the El Sakiko at one point. I think that's what we called it, wasn't it, Josh? Both sides needed a win, and we're both in like the relegation battle. It was just like that was last time, but a lot of things have changed since then. Leicester's come back up. Forest are obviously flying at the minute in the league under Nuno. But before we go on to like the initial thoughts ahead of the game, talk to me about the opposition. You're ninth in the league. You're flying, like I said at this minute in time.
Jack, eighth.
What is it? Second best defence in the league is what Door like to call it.
Eighth, not ninth.
All right, eighth,
We're
ninth,
eighth.
whatever.
Only Liverpool have conceded fewer than we have.
But yeah, talk to me about your season, boys. I'm guessing you'd be happy. I don't think you'd have expected to be where you are at this minute in time. Honestly.
Jack, far better than I could have expected or imagined.
How has Nuno changed things?
I think he's had a pre-season, which he needed. I think the recruitment has been, thus far, the evidence suggests it was canny. Milenkovic has been excellent. He's a really solid cornerstone of the team. Elliot Anderson is playing well. Other guys that have been brought in. We've added depth. I'll tell you what we've done, Jack and Josh. We've cut the numbers in the squad because Nuno said all throughout the end of last season, the squad is too big and too bloated. The transfer policy went berserk. It was like the transfer policy had like snorted cocaine or something. It got berserk. Stupid. Basically, they were signing old ladies shopping in the middle of Nottingham, right? Come and play for us. They were signing any human being that could breathe. It was ridiculous, right? I mean, my old man was 85 and Steve Cooper rang up, or Marinakis rang up, said, "Will he sign for us, Roy?" And my dad said, "I'm sorry, I'm having a cup of tea." It was ridiculous. So what Nuno's done, and I think it's to his credit, he's cut the numbers of the squad, but he's increased the options that we have. And there's greater depth. And if somebody'd said to me, right, going into game number 9, or whatever it is, that you would be 8th in the Premier League, I'd have said, don't be silly. I was giving me 17th. At the start of the season, I was giving me 17th because that is my fundamental. I just want to be the supporter of a Premier League football club next season, right? So where we are now is the one thing I can say for certain is Nottingham Forest in season 24-25 are better than they've been in the last 2 seasons, and thereby the 23 seasons that came before it, because we were just a middling average championship side that bobbed up down and even went down to League One at some point. So where we are now is a really good place to be. How good we are in the round in relation to the league, I might be able to give you a sort of a clue at Christmas, and I'll tell you at the end of the season. Because we're having a nice run now. Right. And we look at our next batch of fixtures, which is Leicester City away, West Ham away, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, Arsenal away, Ipswich at home. And while some of those people might go, yeah, we'll beat them, or we'll beat them, because they're a bit lazy and they're a bit sort of immediate in their answers. There are potential banana skins in there. And at the end of those 4 or 5, we might be having a conversation where Forest have won none of them, and actually Forest are reverting to type. So it's so far so good. But what we have done in terms of actual improvement is our truly appalling weakness at set pieces last season has been addressed with these guys at the back. I think Milenkovic at the moment, and I always try to be objective and fair and look at all the other clubs in the division. It's so easy to kind of just think of your own club, but all the other clubs are interesting to me. But Nikola Milenkovic, the captain of Serbia, at the moment for £12 million, might be pound for pound the best signing that any team has made, because the difference, he's made our goalkeeper better. He's just had 2 blinders against Chelsea and Palace. He's made Murillo better because he's doing the stuff in the air that Murillo isn't great at. The lads in front of Milenkovic, so Monday night it was Ryan Yates, Nicolas Dominguez and Elliot Anderson. They're getting confidence, thinking this huge Serbian barn door at the back is making us more secure. And then it pushes forward in the team. So I don't think we'll finish 8th. I tell you what, we at the moment remind me of Nuno's Wolves that finished 7th 2 years running and got into Europe. But I don't think we are not as good on this small sample. We are not as good as that Wolves team. I still think that we'll finish just below halfway. That's where I think we'll finish. But at the moment, it's going well. It's going all right.
Let me echo what Dave says. Like, we are 8th for a reason, because, like I said, we beat Liverpool away, We've drawn against Brighton and Chelsea, two teams who have spent big as well. And I want to echo about Niko Milenkovic because, like I said, with him against Murillo, he's making Murillo a class player as well. And we talk about everyone hates Ryan Yates, and he does his job because we still got players injured like Sangare, Danilo, two players that in Forest's eyes should be in the first team, but like so they're injured. We've got a good side, and Dave might disagree with me if you can hear me. I said we'll finish 16th, but if we carry on getting if we get a point away from home, it's still brilliant.
Yeah.
But if we carry on the way we are, if we carry on the season the way we are, I personally think we can get that between 14th and 10th. Because it's still a successful season.
Yeah.
And we can talk about your ex-player Chris Wood again, and he's scoring for fun.
Always scores against us, does he?
Yeah, but he's scoring
Every
for fun.
time.
The consummate
What's he
professional.
scored? Is it 7 goals in 8 games?
6 goals.
Something like he scored 21 in 50 appearances. And I tell you, when he first arrived, everybody thought this guy's a busted flush. He's at the tail end of his career.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, why have we spent this money on this wardrobe up front?
Yeah.
And
Do you think he's like Nuno Jimenez?
Very possibly. That's a good point,
Nuno
Jack.
likes to play with big men. He had Jimenez at Wolves, who we got the best out of.
Yeah. You know what it is? Because I in the trophy, I wanted to play like Raul Jimenez at Forest because he's a top player. But with Chris Ward, I think he's 33 years old.
Yeah.
People complain about Cooper didn't have him playing the right way. It is what it is. But now Nuno's coming in.
He's now getting service.
Look
at it. I tell you what, I look at him and I just look at Chris and I just think, if I was playing for Forest right now, I'd look and I think, I'm glad he's in my team. He's a leader. He's not a demonstrative guy. He's not ranting and raving and shouting, but the others look at him as a sort of a father figure. Willy Bolly falls into the same category. Milenkovic is getting into that category as well. Sells to a certain extent. There's a kind of a core of senior players. But I'm telling you about Chris Wood in terms of his fitness at 33. He went to New Zealand for a World Cup qualifier and scored. Then he went to Southeast Asia for another World Cup qualifier for New Zealand and scored. He was back on Monday night and you wouldn't know he'd been away. And a huge admiration for a guy to do that. And I was one of the, I wrote him off. I tell you what happened with me. I kind of thought, Chris he's a lighter form he is. And do you know what? Without getting sentimental and personal, my dad, who died, it will be a year on Saturday since my dad passed away. And my dad was a football man. My dad was a scout for Forest back in the day. My dad used to say to me, take it from me, Dave, Chris Wood is a good player and he'll score Forest goals. He scored goals at Leicester, at Leeds, at Burnley and Newcastle. And you know what? When I look at Chris Wood, it kind of makes me emotional because I can hear my dad's words saying, have faith in Chris Wood. And he's been terrific for us. And him and Nuno just seems to be a chemistry that works. I tell you what, from the game against Newcastle on Boxing Day, where he scored that hat-trick, and we were all like, wow, I never thought he had that in him. He's been a talisman for us. Morgan's a talisman because Morgan's our X-Factor player. But what Woody does, he kind of, we've got a spine of leaders, if you like, in Sells, Milenkovic, Yates, and Woody. And they're not the most flash glamorous players, any of the four of them. We haven't really got that many. Morgan's a kind of our skill guy, but we haven't got that many players. And in that regards, that's why I kind of see parallels between us and that Wolves team that overachieved 4 or 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Josh, Leicester, come up our start. I'd say it's a steady start for Leicester. We're just averaging just over a point a game, which is good. I think we'd be quite happy with the start we've had. I know we could have had more points. Should have probably beat Crystal Palace. The Everton game were a must-win. We ended up dropping points in that one. But how would you sum up Leicester so far?
Yeah, I'd echo you. Steady. Point the game's enough to stay up, really, isn't it? I don't think it'd be anywhere near 40 this year, by the way, with some of the teams around us. But yeah, I think it's been all right. I think, yes, we could have got more points from some games, but then again, in terms of if you look at expected goals, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but we have been outperforming that quite a lot in terms of, I think
Hermanson's been fantastic, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think Hermanson's denied 4 goals. I think it is, or something stupid like that. So yeah, you can look at it both ways. Yeah, he's very good. But I think in terms of the season as a whole, we've had some difficult games as well. We played Tottenham, Arsenal, Villa. Then they're not easy games at all. So I think we can be fairly happy with what we've got right now. I probably would have expected to maybe be about here as well. So it's kind of an average, and it's on average to stay up, which is what we want. So I've got no real complaints as far as performances and especially results.
Can I make a prediction?
Go on.
Nottingham Forest and Leicester City will meet again in the Premier League next year, home and away. That's what I think.
I think that'll be the case.
And I'll tell you for why. And me and Dora have had this conversation amongst ourselves and on another show tonight. I think there are 4 adrift at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Right. And what you lads have done in the last couple of games has been brilliant to get yourself out of that little kind of cell at the bottom, if you like. And I think that Ipswich Town, and I'm not being disrespectful, they're all good clubs with great supporters, right? And I've no beef with any of them. I don't have a beef with anybody, right? Ipswich Town, Wolverhampton Wanderers, especially Southampton, they are the weakest for me because Russell doesn't seem to want to compromise, and he's going to have to, like Steve Cooper did 2 years ago.
I don't think Ipswich do either, Dave, to be fair. We've gone in there
and there's Palace. Now, the way I look at the 4 at the bottom, I think they're 3 or 4 points away from, I think, Everton are the next team or whatever, on 8. I think Palace are the best of those 4. And I look at Wolves, Ipswich and Southampton.
Yeah.
And if you apply the logic we applied to us that first season, where it was, are there 3 worse than us? There are definitely 3 worse than Leicester at the moment. Are Palace worse than Leicester? Time will tell. But I think the other 3 are. So I think, I'll go out on a limb. And I'll sort of, we'll build a bridge between Leicester City and Nottingham Forest, and I'll say that both will meet again in the Premier League next year. That's my view.
First statement.
Let me echo on that. I'll wait. People can say about Steve Cooper this, Steve Cooper that. I want Leicester to finish fourth to bottom.
Yeah.
Because of Steve Cooper.
Yeah,
I'll take that 100%.
Well,
as long as we stay up, I'm happy with it, boys.
Yeah,
I want to take 6 points from you lot. Simple as that.
No, we're not agreeing on that. You were talking well about us, Dora, until you started saying you're taking
too nice to know.
I'm not being that. No. See, I'll take it back. I'll take it back. I want you lot down. I want you lot down. But like I said, it's not that. Yeah. It's just like when Cooper was points like Leicester City.
It's also marking of Vishay since 6 years. So we'll be marking that tomorrow as well at the Forest game. So yeah, I'm sure Forest fans will show their respect as well.
Absolutely. He was a good man, and that what happened was tragic and awful.
Yep.
But it comes back to this point that
go on. Before we move on to this.
I want more games like tomorrow night and later in the season. And I want that, East Midlands thing or whatever. It's good. I want Midlands clubs to kind of pack the Premier League. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I do. I wasn't sure about Leicester at first, and maybe 2 games is a small sample size. But if I think of the first half at Palace, if I think of the second half against Tottenham Hotspur when you dominated and should have beaten them, and there was another game I saw you play. Oh God, who was it? There's enough there on that. I mean, that first game of the season when Tottenham went into a lead, he kind of thought this could be anything. Yeah. And then all of a sudden
they should have been 3-0 up at half time.
Yeah, and then Leicester second half drew.
But then Palace could have ended up scoring again, and we ended up winning the game. We could have ended up winning the game and not getting a point. Could have actually got all 3.
Yeah, I think there's enough in Leicester City to say that they'll stay up.
There's a lot of fight in the team. You can see the team are together, you know. I know there's been rumours about Steve Cooper, that players probably not playing for him in this, that and the other. Some would question his playing about his style of football and that, but the players are playing for the manager. And I think they are, you know. I think you can see that in that Southampton game, innit? They're playing for the manager. If they weren't playing for the manager and they had real issues about it,
absolutely, Jack.
They just would switch off and Southampton would win that game. But Leicester thought, hold on a minute, we've got enough fight in us to actually get back into this. We've seen what Southampton have been capable of when they've led games. We can do that, and they crumbled, didn't it? Leicester put the pressure on. We played hard. We did last season, and we deserved it in the end.
If he'd have lost the dressing room, Southampton 2, Leicester City 3 would not have happened.
No, it wouldn't have.
Right. Let's put it like that. And what you've got tomorrow night, which is another really good added dimension to this game, is Leicester have become a really close-knit bunch. And Forest are a really close-knit bunch. If you want evidence of how close-knit Forest are, look at the brawl at Stamford Bridge. Right. Let's look at the brawl at Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea tried to intimidate Forest and Forest stood up to it, right? Cole Palmer sat down because he didn't want to get involved. He didn't want to be belted by other. I mean, Milenkovic and Murato that day looked like a couple of Nottingham babies. Yeah, it is.
Oh. Jesus.
Yeah, that was quoted tonight. Yeah, so there you go. Bragging rights tomorrow night.
Let's have a look at the last 5, Dave and Dor. Last 5 at the KP. Leicester have won 2. What you lot won 1. I think you beat us 2-0 last time.
2-0. Cox and
that really. Yeah. And 2 draws. Let's talk about the last time we played you at the KP in the Premier.
No.
Yes.
No.
Leicester 4, Nottingham Forest 0. And let's just say Dor went home with the tail in between his legs after giving me so much crap before that game. He got a taste of his own medicine afterwards. You know,
can I just say, I went on Leicester Till I Die after that match and congratulated Leicester City. I was a true gentleman.
What a performance by us, though. I think that was a real must-win game for us, wasn't it, Josh? You know, it meant much more with obviously the Derby game and that, and the fans are well behind it. And obviously, Forest could have been 1-0 up, couldn't they? I think it was Tywell won you. Did he hit the post?
Yeah,
hit the post, and then Leicester got it with Maddison, Barnes, and obviously Daka scored as well. Didn't he? Maddison scored the free kick. A top performance by Leicester, a much needed one, which at the end put pressure on Steve Cooper. Could have been replaced by Rafa Benitez.
Why do they keep mentioning Rafa Benitez, Jack? He was never linked with Forest.
He was.
He wasn't, man. It was all nonsense, man. He wasn't.
Right. So,
he wasn't linked with Forest, man. Where did he get this rubbish from?
Because after that game on Talk Sport, there was actually on about Rafa Benitez.
Do you really listen to Talk Sport, man? They're a bunch of bellends, man. Sorry, my language, kid.
You're right. The taxi bloke had the radio when I listened to it.
Even Josh knows you talk sport, talk nonsense, man.
Yep. But no, Cooper kept his job. Dor, talk to me about Leicester's 4-0 win over you lot. I mean, that night must have been a bit of a
that hurt.
Good night.
What hurt one for you?
It hurts because, like you mentioned, when Tower hit the post and you went on the other end and Maddison scored a goal. That says it all. Because if you look at it, right, I don't know if I don't remember the first 20 minutes. Was it 20 minutes or 15 minutes? Was good. We started very good on the front foot because I think we played. We played like Johnson, Lingard, White. Yeah, we played a good team. And then after that, when you lot scored, downhill, and it was.
It was that second goal which came like a minute after the first. That's what killed it.
Yeah, that's what killed it so much, and it was
a fair result.
It was a fair.
It was the right result. The team that it was a deserved 4-0 win.
Yeah.
Leicester were under a lot of pressure. Brendan was under a lot of pressure.
Took our
And
chances.
Leicester, there was a lot of pressure on Forest. I thought on that evening, it was a Premier League side, Leicester City, against a Championship side that still looked like a Championship side, right? And the result was correct. I walked out. My view is, if you want to enjoy your victories, you've got to take your defeats on the chin. I walked out the King Power. Yeah, I was glum. I'm always glum when Forest lose because I love them. It's a huge part of my life emotionally and socially. I love going to matches. I love my club, as we all do. But I walked out that night and I got back on the coach and I sat next to my mate and I said, yeah, Leicester deserved that. Leicester were excellent. I said, we were lucky to get 0 that night. In fact, the only player that night for us who played anything like, I remember the 11 that started, like Dawes said, the first 10 minutes was all right, but after that they became dreadful. I remember Serge Aurier coming on at half-time. And
Yates.
He's the only player, and Yates to a certain extent, but Aurier was the one I took from that game.
Sure.
The good thing about it was, in hindsight, Marinaki stuck with Cooper to keep us happy because we sang for Cooper. And then what happened? We lost at Leicester, and you kind of thought, I think what Cooper did and what Forest did, they drew a line in the sand. Right, it never happens again. The next game, with the very next game we played was on the following Monday night, where we played Villa. We played Villa at the City Ground.
Yeah, 1-1. And
I thought, I wonder how this is going to go. And actually, it was Villa under Gerrard, which is an entirely different thing to Villa under Emery, as we can see. Because at the moment, not being too fanciful about it, but Villa are the best team in Europe, according to what stats are saying. Right. And that night at the City Ground was a truly dull 1-1. We scored early, Emmanuel Dennis. Ashley Young scored an equaliser. Villa dominated the ball, but Forest never looked like bending and breaking. And you thought, Steve's gone away from Leicester, and it's hurt him and it's hurt us enough that you think we've got to react to it and do something with it. And from that point on, we ended up drawing 0-0 at Brighton, God knows how, because Brighton were all over us. And then we beat Liverpool, and then there were shoots of recovery. But I would say, lads, me and Dor would not be talking to you now as supporters of a Premier League football club if we'd not lost at Leicester that night. That night at Leicester might actually be the most important result.
As a reality much needed for change, being competitive in the Premier. Yeah. Some defeats do get you in that mind, don't they? Where you can't really happen again, and it kind of spurs you on to think we need to really have a kick up the arse to realise where we actually are.
And that was what it was, Jack. That's what it was, mate.
Because, like I said, when we lost 4-0, I remember I left the ground with Malcolm, and the first thing I said, Cooper's gone. And I thought he was gone. I think it was after 3 or 4 days, he got a new contract. I'm like,
I tell you what, I went down the town in Newtoxty where I live, right? And I was doing my shopping for my mum and dad because the pair of them couldn't get out of the house. They were that old and frail. And the greengrocer down the road, right, in Newtoxty, and I went past the shop. He come out the shop. Wayne come out the shop and he shouts at me. He goes, "Hey, mate, have you heard?" And I went, "What's going on, Wayne?" He said, "Cooper's just signed a new contract." I went, "Bugger off." And he went, "No, he has." And then he showed it me on his phone. And I was like, Wayne is a Forest fan. He looked at me and he went, I didn't think he was going to get an extension. I went, "Mate, I thought he was gone like Dorsey."
I thought it was an April Fool's joke. I thought. Well, he was in the group and someone went, "Oh, you're not going to believe it. Cooper signed." I went, "What?" Went, "Steve Cooper signed." I mean, you're taking the...
And the other thing I would say about that result, in the end, and I'm not decrying, Leicester were brilliant that night, but unfortunately at the end of the season, we were the ones to stay up and Leicester were the ones to go down. So maybe in the fullness of time, that defeat, probably, if you like, the defeat maybe did Forest more good than the victory did Leicester any good, really. You know. But I just think this time, I mean, to go down to the Championship and then to kind of generally breeze through it is a fantastic achievement. I mean, the start was amazing, and then you got it back at the end after that dodgy patch. And I just look at them, and that first few games with Leicester, I was like, I'm not so sure, but there were bits in there like the second half against Tottenham, the first half against Palace, and it kind of thought there is something there. And I'm now of the opinion that Leicester will be all right. I really am.
Fair enough. let's get on to starting 11s before we get on to score predictions. Dor and Dave, we'll let this go between you both. Pick your formation. Are there any changes from Monday night, do you reckon, after, was it about a 3-4 day break? And how do you think Forest line up with this one?
I don't know. It's
Sells.
Sells
in goal.
Sells in goal.
Yeah.
Usual back four.
Yeah, Aina at right back, Moreno left back, Milankovic, first name on the team sheet for me, Murillo, and then sitting in. I'll tell you what, I would leave the team the same, but Nuno has a habit of picking a horse for a particular course, so he might look at Leicester and think, well, different things are required against Leicester than were required against Palace. Yeah. Me, the 11 the other night earned the start, so well, maybe with one exception. So I think Yates is in front of the back four. Dominguez starts again. He was terrific, in my opinion. Elliot Anderson in the 10, because I don't know if Morgan is fully fit. I don't think he is. And then Woody obviously plays. Woody's got to be in because he's in great form. I think Callum Hudson-Odoi starts if fit. He did look like he had a knock Monday night. I'm leaving Anthony Elanga out because Anthony Elanga, for the pace of Anthony Elanga, the end product doesn't always tie in with it. So Anthony's a speed machine. I was talking to a guy in our gym this week who's played against him. He played for Chesterfield in a friendly at the start of the season. And he said to me, Ryan Boot, the Chesterfield goalkeeper, comes in our gym. And he said, Anthony Elanga is the fastest human being he's ever seen on a football field, right? And I went, yeah, if only his final product fitted with what he'd done before. So I think Anthony comes out. I'm starting Jota Silva. Now, I think he's a good impact player, but I'm starting Jota Silva. He's earned the start.
Right, let me debate about Jota Silva because I love him, but he's one of the players that if we are still 0-0, like he did against Brighton, Liverpool as well, and then he come on against Chelsea as well, and he come on against Crystal Palace. He gives us that oomph.
Yeah,
and then it's like when if it's still 0-0. In the 60th minute, bring him on because he gives that extra spark that we need because he can. I don't know if Leicester fans know he's the third best headed person in Europe. Does everyone know that?
It's and he's tiny. He's not really. He outjumped Virgil van Dijk. I agree with you, Dor. And he's impactful off the bench. But I remember the time he started. He played against Newcastle in the League Cup. Our second string against Newcastle in the League Cup. And okay, we lost on penalties. But until the penalty shootout, right, the Forest second string outplayed the Newcastle first string. And he scored a goal and he was busy throughout, right? And I just think there's going to come a time. If I'm Jota Silva, I'm thinking, hey, I'm doing good things coming off the bench. When am I going to get a start? It might be tomorrow night. But I take Dor's point. Nuno might think, no, sometimes super subs, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, back in my day, it was David Fairclough for Liverpool. These guys who were renowned as a super sub, and maybe Jota Silva's that guy. But I'm imagining he'll go the same 11 that started the other night. But
not like Dave. You could put you can bring Morgan Gibbs-White back in and put Ant on the right hand side because like you just said, with Langa's hot and cold moment. Langa will play one good game and then go missing for 4 games. And in the past, Langa has come on and made that little difference. Like I'm not saying like Jota Silva, but I still think I'll bring in Morgan Gibbs-White in.
Well, I worry about him. I saw him on his missus's Instagram feed, and he was pushing a pram and he got a plastic boot on. And I think that injury at Chelsea looks a little bit more severe than him coming. I mean, Nuno was asked yesterday in his presser, and Nuno was quite non-committal. He said, we're assessing him day by day up until Friday morning, I guess, when Nuno has to make a decision. But I don't see Morgan coming back in. I don't know.
Josh, Leicester's 11. I mean, where do we start? Who comes in? Who goes out?
Fatawu.
He better be starting. Well, Hermanson in goal. I think the back four is probably going to be the same. I would like to see Ricardo, but he's not going to. To be fair, maybe, but I'll be surprised if he got put into this game, considering he hasn't played a
Harry
minute
Winks?
this season. Yeah, I was going to say Winks or
then
Skip.
Didi.
I'll go Winks and Didi. Buonanotte ahead, I guess. I think.
Fatawu.
Yeah, are you going Mavididi or I think
Yeah,
you want Mavididi, but I don't think he will.
We'll go Mavididi. He might bloody choose Ayu.
Yeah, and then Vardy up front.
I would offer experience in these type of games, but
yeah, that's my only concern.
I think Vardy for me obviously starts. I don't see Edward getting much game time this season. If I'm honest with you, you know if. But the one last question I'm going to ask you indoor, Dave, is the score prediction.
He's on mute.
Yeah, sorry, I put on mute. Dave, you go first.
1-1. I think I look at it and I think two teams in a good frame of mind, two teams very close-knit, good spirit, and I can't split them. I think it'd be an interesting, quite gripping sort of game. I don't see there being a lot of goals. Having said that, Leicester are more likely to score more goals than we are. But then again, I think our defence is just that little bit ahead of Leicester's at the moment. 1-1. Can't split them. 1-1.
Duh.
I said on my channel it was 3-2, but I've changed my mind. I think we'll win 1-0.
Didn't you say 5-0, Duh?
I said 4-0. I said 4-0.
You said 5.
Yeah, I was in cuckoo land.
You didn't seem committed to that score either.
He was beyond the green door.
I was drinking too much. I'm on water.
Give us a score.
Yesterday I was drinking rosé and I'm on water. So okay, I'll say 2-0 Forest.
Okay, fair enough. Josh?
I either think it's going to be very extremely low scoring or absolute chaos.
Yeah, that's a good
point,
Josh.
I'm gonna go with the chaos option and go 3-2 Leicester. I was trying to stay positive.
Okay.
I either go 3-2 or 1-0 Leicester, but yeah, I honestly think it's going to go one or two ways. It's difficult to really judge it. On paper, I think you say low scoring, but part of me thinks it's just going to explode for some reason. So we'll go 3-2 Leicester.
Right.
Josh, how old are you?
19.
You've been on alcohol?
No, I'm all sober this week.
Okay, no, just 4.
Goodness me, that makes me 41 years older than Josh. Bloody hell, mate. Welcome to the rest of your life, son. Enjoy it, mate.
I will.
You know what I mean?
right then, the final decision comes from me.
The final whistle.
I'm going to stick with it.
Judge Jack.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to stick with it, though, from what I said on your show. I think it'd be a midfield battling game. I think that two sides will want to win the game, so I think they'll give it their all in the game. Steve will probably try and hold Forest out for as much, probably. I think he's got to get this team selection right ahead of this game. We're bringing Fatawu in. And, I think it'll be a tasty game tomorrow night on the Friday night football, and I think it'll be one that people need to tune into, to be honest. But I think Leicester get the job done tomorrow night. But if you can't win, don't lose is the main motto in football.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go for a 2-1 Leicester, Vardy to score. I'm going to go Chris Wood to score for Forest, and I'm going to go Abdul Fattah.
Alan Birchinall to get a goal. Steve Linex.
Frank
Worthington.
Dave, thanks for coming on, mate. Do appreciate it.
Pleasure, mate. Enjoyed it, mate.
And I'll
Good to
catch you
see you,
again
lads.
soon.
Enjoy your lives, but not tomorrow night.
Cheers, Dave.
See you later.
Let everybody know where they can find you, mate, on the socials.
2 on my backside. Who do you think you are?
There we go.
There we go. Right.
Don't let me bring up that video, Doc.
You can piss off. If you do, right. So, Doran Tour. I'm going tomorrow. I'm doing a vlog. I do my after-game reaction. I'll be celebrating after the game. This time, no tears from me this time. I can't wait. You know what? I'll troll you, Jack and Josh. I'm going to troll all you Leicester fans. So just be careful what you put on social media and on the internet, because I am going to gun for you lot. So go on tour, make sure everyone subscribe, and enjoy your tears. Enjoy the Leicester.
Tomorrow,
We will, yeah.
We'll tomorrow.
Josh, thanks for coming on, mate. Appreciate it. Let everybody know where they can find you, mate.
Yeah, Climate Sportser, just like Dawes said, I'll be vlogging as well tomorrow. So if you want to see the reaction from another Leicester win against Forest at the King Power, you know exactly where to go.
Cheers, Josh. All the best,
See you later, Jack.
And that is it then. We've done an hour. Wow, okay. So that is the match preview done. There'll be a match day vlog out tomorrow. You'll see my reactions in the game, and you know it should be a good game between the two sides tomorrow. The Steve Cooper Derby is what we'll call it. Can Steve Cooper get one over on his former side is the big question. Can the Foxes carry on their good run in the league and get something out of tomorrow's game for sure? But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Really appreciate it as always for watching this on Playback. Let me know what your thoughts are on what we've discussed. Hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We'll have a match preview out for Ipswich next week, as well as Leicester Edge Portman Road in the league. We'll have the Premier League predictions week 10, and we'll also be heading to Old Trafford for the cup game against Manchester United. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. Have a great rest of your evening, whatever you're up to, and up the Foxes. Take care, everyone. Hi all, thank you for watching The Final Whistle. If you enjoy all our content, please remember to smash a like, share, and subscribe to the channel.